So let's move on to our last and final land over at the park, and that's Fantasyland. This is a big one because this, like Tomorrowland, this is really where a lot of the expansion rumors have been kind of centered around. Absolutely. And I think even more so in a lot of ways than Tomorrowland, because Tomorrowland, the two big properties going into any Tomorrowland renovation or reimagining was always Star Wars and Marvel, and they've kind of already utilized those in other areas. But Fantasyland, I mean, you got Frozen, all kinds of huge properties they can put in here. Dre, what are your thoughts? I mean, what are your feelings on a potential, Fantasyland expansion, or Frozen Miniland, or what are your feelings on this?
I'll tell you what. I think Rudio, he's gung ho for this one. So let's go to Rudio's thoughts first, because I'm still thinking about like every single thing that could possibly happen, because I have so many ideas. But go ahead, Rudio.
Just like Vash, there's so many ideas.
I know, right?
I'll start off with the foundation of what is 2021 Fantasyland. Right now, we're just experiencing Snow White and the refurbishment and the re-entry of that ride. And that ride, as far as the first time I got to go on it, the 2021 version, it sparked something in me. The fact that they were able to take this one of the simplest attractions that Disney has to offer and bring something new to it and make me want to say, you know what, I want to go on Snow White every time I enter this park. Like, Snow White was never a ride that I was like dying to go on when I went to Disneyland. Most Fantasyland rides are like that for me. Mind you, I'm 33 turning on 34. Fantasyland doesn't really speak to me as it did when I was a kid. But going on Snow White in 2021, it was quite an experience.
Revelatory, huh?
Yeah. And so for something like that to happen to every single one of those attractions, Pinocchio, Peter Pan, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, all of the dark rides, if they were to say, you know what, let's put as much effort as we did into Snow White, into those attractions, let's do that to every one of those. Let's give it some new life. I would be on board with that 110%, just to bring something new to it. As far as any sort of expansion goes to say, there's a lot of space that can be maneuvered. We have that space that's towards Matterhorn, Small World area, which is being used for meet and greets at the moment. We have the Fantasyland Theater. Arendelle comes to mind.
Oh yeah.
Beauty and the Beast comes to mind.
Absolutely.
Or even just bringing more princesses together, bring Tangled into the parks, bring some of that. Bring Moana, you have such a line of Disney princesses in those stories you can bring into that area. I would like for them to incorporate more of that. I know that we have Sleeping Beauty, we have Snow White, we have Alice in Wonderland, but I want to see more. I want to see more Moana. I want to see more Tangled. I want to see more of the new Disney female heroes, as I like to call them, in the parks.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you feeling, Dre? What are your thoughts on the future of Fantasyland?
I think I have it all kind of, I don't know. So there's been some speculation, there's been some rumors about you redo Mr. Toad. I know Peter Pan kind of got a redo, but let's be honest, it was kind of slight, especially compared to Snow White now.
Yeah.
So you can kind of go in and do a little bit more with that. Alice in Wonderland just got redone. Snow White just got redone. That leaves Pinocchio. And Pinocchio was always one that Tony Baxter just kind of said, hey, like, out of our like category of films, which didn't, there weren't a lot at that point. Which one are we missing? Pinocchio was determined that was the big one. But I mean, it's just a completely different company than it was back in the 1980s, you know?
Oh yeah.
So I think the one that really makes sense in there is Tangled.
Yeah.
I think Tangled makes a whole lot of sense. You practically have the tower as it exists right there. They did overlay that tower for a little bit of time to make it Rapunzel's tower, so a little bit of reconfiguration there.
Which, not to interrupt, but is actually kind of a big sign that they were considering it. I think.
Yeah. Good point. I think it makes sense there. It's one of the larger. I mean, I think it is the largest of the original of the kind of the dark the Fantasyland dark rides. So there's so much potential you can do there. I think it just makes sense. But that goes over to okay, well, everything surrounding Small World Mall. What can you do with that? Kind of gets over into Tomorrowland a little bit, and I'd say this. I think the Fantasyland Theater should go. I do think a theater should exist in Disneyland, though. So, I mean, if there's nothing else that can be done with it, I would like an actual enclosed theater where you can actually have real performances and all that kind of stuff. I think it'd be really great. And then for these kind of motorboat cruise area, I would do like an Arendelle kind of thing. Where you could have, I mean, I know we've said this multiple times in DMs and so forth on Twitter, like, man, just like Disneyland needs kind of coasters, they kind of need the coasters that Walt Disney World has in its Magic Kingdom park. And so, they have the, what is it? The kind of sleigh ride going into, I think it's Hong Kong and maybe Paris might get a version of it as well. It's the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but with a Frozen overlay attached to it. I would very much dig that for sure. And if you can't get like a Beast Castle like it is in Tokyo Disneyland, what if you were to take that same ride, kind of storytelling, that ride system and so forth, and make it into a Frozen attraction, and those attractions just kind of buttress up with each other. It plays right into the Matterhorn, and boom, there you go. That would be, I mean, I dig that like a lot.
That would definitely be great. I mean, you're right. It would play beautifully into the Matterhorn as a backdrop. It would fulfill that need to have it would, to have like more of a aesthetically pleasing area in that section. Like right now, it's not that great looking, It's a defunct, motorboat area and the Autopia. To have a beautiful Arendelle back there would be just so great. I would love that. And one thing I would like to see them do as well is with the Small World area. There's something about that whole. I love Small World. The facade, is beautiful. Love it. I just wish they would incorporate some of like the more charming qualities of Fantasyland in that whole section. It just feels like a separate thing, kind of almost. Kind of extend that like that European kind of village thing into that a little more than they do now. I don't know. It just feels Small World in that whole little mall area just feels a little more, even though it's technically Fantasyland, it always felt separate to me. It never felt like a cohesive part of Fantasyland.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
That was all built in there for Light Magic, and it really was focused on that show, and you can kind of see like how that all works. It just, I mean, a lot of the infrastructure is great to have there, but we could do a little bit better, like you said, Orange Grove. I think we can. And look, if you don't like the Frozen stuff, you can still have the sleigh ride. But what if you, go more roller coaster ish? There was a concept. It was born out of the I don't know if you've heard like the Fire Mountain kind of roller coaster that they had bubbling up for a long time as part of Magic Kingdom and Walt Disney World, and then they rethemed it to Moana, and it was so close to getting approved, but it just didn't happen. What if you took that concept and dropped it right there in kind of that area? I mean, that would be cool too, and that way you have like a range of things. You have fire and ice, you just have just all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so that I'd be open to that as well.
That would be really interesting. I would love to see something like that. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. there's a huge spot of land there. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you could take multiple Matterhorns and put them in that land. It's that big. As long as you use it right, you can do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, Rudio, what are your thoughts on like adding like a villain ride or something? Do you think that would be kind of cool?
Villains are like what I would want to see in parks the most. I don't think there's enough representation of the villains because we have like, I'm a big comics guy, and I've always thought that DC Comics has the best gallery of villains. Second, Disney, and they're not even a comic book company, but the villains that Disney has, and especially during these Halloween seasons and the Halloween overlays, it's great that we get to see them for a few months here or there, but to have some sort of maybe an attraction or a show or a meet and greet area that would be year round, I would be on board for that. Something, you don't even have to make it so elaborate, but just a space so that Maleficent or the Evil Queen or Gaston or any of the wide variety of villains can just, they're going to be there, and you can count on having an interaction with them. That's something I'd be open for.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. What do you think, Dre? Like, would you be open to like maybe like some dark rides seen through like the villain perspective, or?
Oh yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I mean, there have been a multitude of villains concepts, that have existed over the years. Even going as far back as like, hey, retheming, well, now the Incredicoaster, but California Screaming into a villains type thing with Ursula's tentacles popping up, and she's just about to latch onto you, and then you launch out, just that kind of stuff. I mean, I think that would be fantastic.